What's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. Flankers are an important class in Paladins for going behind enemy lines and taking out high priority targets or finishing off kills, and are absolutely vital going into any team that has a sniper. Flankers have a potent combination of short-ranged bursts and high mobility, letting them rush down enemy champions and delete them before they even know what hit them. That's why in this video I'll be going over my picks for the top 5 strongest flankers in Paladins. Keep in mind that this list is from a PC perspective, though some of the picks on this list can be strong on console too. And also keep in mind that this list is simply just my opinion, though I've put a lot of thought and consideration into my opinion to make this list as accurate as possible. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the number 5 spot. Number 5. Xin. Xin is one of the best flankers in the game if you really hate dying and enjoy having a whole arsenal of movement abilities and counters to any damage that comes your way. If Cardio Victor is the cockroach of the damage class, then Xin is the cockroach of the flank class, because he is just so dang tough to kill. His entire kit is based around survival, with an ability that is called Counter that can completely deflect anything from bullets to bombs and even the Dragon's Fury. Smolder is basically Ghost Walk 2, since it makes him invulnerable to damage and lets him reposition behind cover. And Whirl is a pretty decent movement ability, like a dash forward but with a super wide, sharp radius around it that deals 400 damage to everything it touches. Xin is also great for people who struggle with aiming, since the projectiles he fires from his weapon are monstrously large. If you're in close range with the target, there's almost no missing them unless they perform some crazy evasive maneuvers to juke you out. Xin's got a strong base kit, but his loadout cards are also incredibly powerful and offer him some unique variety when it comes to builds. He can completely reset the cooldown of Billow with Fan the Flames, or reduce the cooldown of Counter drastically with Viciousness. He can also go for a maximum Whirl reset build with Wildfire, which is absolutely insane.
Hiya! 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 Yes! Woo!
Xin does have a few weaknesses which keep him from scoring higher on this list. For starters, Xin has no vertical mobility, making him weaker on maps which mandate some form of vertical mobility like Serpent Beach, Timber Mill, or Splitstone Quarry. He also has very short range on each of his projectiles except for his heavy hit, making him much less effective at range than other flankers who have longer ranged weapon attacks. His ult isn't the greatest if you're out in the open, since he's completely vulnerable to damage while using it, even while using Guillotine. On the topic of Guillotine, his talents don't really affect his gameplay too much. Guillotine is arguably his strongest because it can one-shot any enemy champion, but it still has the issue of him being vulnerable while using it. Yomi provides such a minor buff to his damage that it's not even noticeable unless you're fighting a tank, and Billow can be helpful for survivability, but even still, it doesn't heal for much. Just like Tiberius, Xin's talents make almost no difference when it comes to playing him, but rather his core strengths lie in his loadout cards and base kit. Regardless of that, Xin is still a very potent and tough flanker to kill, who earns the number 5 spot on this list. Number 4. Buck. If you ask another Paladins player if they've ever been bullied by Bounce House Buck before, and they tell you no, they're lying. Buck is an all-around incredible brawler of a flank champion who is strong in almost every regard, and has a lot of options for playing him. Buck has a powerful shotgun who can deal over 1000 damage per headshot, which can be incredibly lethal when combined with his net shot that slows targets by 50% for 2 seconds. He can also jump high through the skies with his heroic leap, which is a fantastic ability for rapidly closing the distance between himself and an enemy. Buck can also heal himself for 1000 health with his next ability, Recovery. This can be incredibly helpful for getting him back in a fight faster without having to rely on his healer. Buck has a lot of build diversity with his 3 talents, Bulk Up, Bounce House, and Ensnare. Bulk Up lets him be a tank of sorts, healing for an additional burst of 600 with Recovery and increasing his max HP. Combined with some damage reduction cards, and Buck becomes insanely hard to kill. Bounce House is an absolutely insane talent when used with Exhilarate and Stomping Ground, which give Buck unparalleled mobility and the potential to wipe out the entire enemy team if he can successfully chain kills. However, for a calmer, more reserved approach that makes Buck more powerful at range, Ensnare lets him burst down targets incredibly effectively and even heal from it through the powerful card Bully. Buck has the powerful combination of a strong base kit, excellent cards, and powerful talents, making him a well-rounded beast of a flanker. However, he can be extremely risky to play if you struggle to confirm kills with him, because if you engage with his heroic leap and then can't confirm a kill, you're as good as dead. Buck doesn't have much in the way of an escape ability once he engages, making him highly aggressive and highly dependent on landing killing blows. His leap, while making him insanely mobile in the right circumstances with Bounce House, still isn't as effective as the movement abilities of other flankers in the flank class, and he's ultimately less agile than some other flankers can be. Despite these drawbacks, Buck is still an absolutely incredible beast of a flanker, who deserves the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3. Eevee. In the number 3 spot we have arguably the most difficult champion in Paladins, Eevee. Eevee is the most mobility-dependent flanker in the game, since she only has 1800 HP and needs to be on her toes at all times. However, her mobility is almost unparalleled, and in the right hand, she can wipe the floor with an enemy team while looking incredibly flashy at the same time. With Wormhole, Eevee can teleport directly into the enemy backline and take out a target, and if things get sketchy, she can teleport right back to safety and get ready to try again. And through the use of flick shots and combinations with her Soar and Teleport, she can decimate an enemy champion without ever touching the ground. Her burst is fairly strong, and she can 3-shot pretty much every support and damaged champion. And with Over the Moon, Eevee can deal 1020 damage per shot for 3 seconds after soaring, letting her 2-shot some low HP targets. Eevee also has no damage falloff, making her the first flanker on this list to be able to deal a significant damage at any range. This is valuable for allowing her to poke at different champions when she's not actively able to flank, and Eevee can resort to playing as a backline DPS if the situation requires it. Eevee's ultimate is also incredibly strong at helping her secure kills. Ice Storm cripples all enemies inside of it, allowing Eevee to lock down high mobility targets like Koga and targets with escape abilities like Ceres, letting her finish them off often with only 2 shots, since Ice Storm does decent damage too. And with Snow Globe, Eevee can use her ultimate just like a normal ability, since she only needs to get it up to 50% in order to use it. This can work well against hyper-mobile teams, and help her secure kills much more effectively. And if Eevee gets herself stuck facing a massive threatening ult like Sky's Time Bomb or Terminus's Reanimate, she doesn't need to worry because she can temporarily become immortal in her Ice Block, letting her ignore any damage that comes her way. This ability can also be used smartly in a duel to predictively block shots while her cooldowns tick down, letting her regain the upper hand and stay alive. Eevee is a difficult but rewarding champion, with amazing mobility, great burst, great poke, and a fantastic ult, and she earns the number 3 spot on this list. Number 2. Maeve. I like to think of Maeve as the easier, more accessible version of Eevee. Though don't get me wrong, Maeve is one tough champion to play too. Maeve is Eevee's hypermobile counterpart in the flank class, able to have as much airtime as Wormjet's Drogos while having a bit more sustain and tankiness than Eevee through her damage reduction cards and self-healing with 9 lives. Maeve is also on par with Eevee's burst, dealing 800 damage a second if she hits both her daggers. Maeve can actually do even more burst than Eevee if she uses Cat Burglar, letting her deal 1040 damage if she hits a full dagger set after Prowl. Street Justice is also another bursty talent, letting her finish off targets below 35% HP. This is an excellent tool for taking out tanks, and can help her kill squishy targets faster too. Or you can do what I do, and go for her most mobile talent, Rogue's Gambit. This talent resets the cooldown of her pounce after a kill, letting her dash around the map at light speed. In combination with 9 lives, which resets her Prowl and Pounce after she uses them, so she effectively has 2 Prowls and 2 Pounces at any time, and she can easily keep up with Eevee and outmaneuver any other champion in the game. Maeve's ultimate is also incredibly helpful, and is more team-oriented than Eevee's. Maeve blinds the entire enemy team, letting her team push up and take out the panicking enemies. Maeve can also use its ult to stealthily remove an enemy champion from the game under the cover of darkness, which is incredibly helpful. Maeve also has a greater skin variety than Eevee, which is an added bonus. Ultimately, her high mobility, high damage, effective talents, and more accessible kit than Eevee's grants her the number 2 spot on this list. Number 1. Androxus. In the number 1 spot we have the ultimate edgelord and most iconic flanker in Paladins, Androxus. Andro has the perfect combination of potent burst, powerful survivability, strong mobility, and a great ult to top it all off. On top of that, his loadout cards are good and his talents are rather quite helpful. Androxus is also a skillful champion and very rewarding to master. Let's start off with his talents, of which the most popular right now is Cursed Revolver. This talent sacrifices some of his DPS in close quarters for massively increased potency at range and pinpoint accuracy, letting him poke champions from a very long distance. Godslayer is pretty solid too, especially against the lower level players who are more likely to feed his reversal. In conjunction with Power of the Abyss, which resets the cooldown of his Nether Step by up to 100%, and Androxus can have some great mobility. He can dash into combat with his Nether Step, take out a target, then use his reversal on an enemy to reset his Nether Step and escape to safety. Speaking of Nether Step, this is an excellent movement ability for a flanker to have. It consists of 3 omnidirectional dashes, letting him perform evasive maneuvers while flick-shotting an enemy, or quickly dash up to the high ground or over obstacles. While it's not as much mobility as Eevee or Maeve's arsenal of maneuvers, it's still a super effective tool for making Androxus a potent flanker. And of course, Androxus' ult is powerful too. He can deal up to 4,000 damage to a single target if he hits each of his 4 shots, which is more than enough to take out a squishy champion. They're also explosives, so he can hit multiple targets at a time. And if he only needs 2 of the shots to take out a champion, he can cancel the ultimate and get back 15% ult charge per shot saved, letting him get his ult up sooner so he can blast away at another enemy in no time. Ultimately, Androxus has all the tools necessary to be a skillful, powerful flank champion that is strong in just about every circumstance, and he is in my opinion the strongest flank champion in Paladins. But anyways, that's the end of this video. What do you guys think of my list? Do you agree with my picks, or do you think someone else deserves the #1 spot? Let me know in the comments down below, or by joining my Discord where you can pick up tips, leave suggestions, and become a part of our active community. Also make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload from me. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.